here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Oh, Trini, could you get me my supper? Sparkling water. when you get everything set. So, Trini, grab my supper for me and stuff. So, which will also be my lunch and also my breakfast. Even though I did drink a couple things as far as like some coffee this morning and our sparkling water. So when Trini's all done getting there, we should give me some sparkling water. And then what we'll do is we'll start our whole thing. Oh, that's awesome. And sorry, I'm getting a ton of messages. It's been swamp busy. I have had like 2 seconds to myself today. And by myself is like, I'm never waste time, but I'm also, doing certain things through the day with different people and had some great things today. So as we've been starting off, first of all, hi everybody. Hope you guys are doing awesome. It is January 21st, 2025, 3:54 p.m. Green Bay, Wisconsin time, so Central Time. Been an absolutely incredible day so far. I got here at 5 and I haven't slept on. Trinity, thank you for my supper. My supper, good old sparkling water, just Pellegrino, just sparkling water. And yeah, here we go. That's a fantastic supper. Sparkling water in. Aaron Walton just jumped in. So we have Hunter, Trinity, Justin, and Aaron Walton in here today. We're going to do some Q&As. And Christy just walked in the door. Christy, look what our friend did to us. She knows I'm fasting. And she says, but Christy would like, the girls would like applesauce and salsa. And she makes organic stuff from organic trees and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, thanks, Miss Melissa. Miss Melissa, I know you're watching because I told you I was going live that way. It's like she's torturing me. Because she makes the best applesauce, not a joke. The best applesauce. She has good organic trees,
we'll
some of
save
that.
it for you.
What's that?
We'll save it for you.
Yes, it's kind of awesome. But so great salsa, and it's really funny is this: a gift like that is so meaningful to me because it's like I said, I can buy anything I want. But the idea is this: I also want when people give me something from their heart like that they take time and effort and stuff like that. I think that's why I think preparing a meal for somebody is an emotional thing because when you value food so much. Yes. So we're going to start with a question. I had somebody today come in and talking about business, just like I had yesterday. It happens on a daily basis. I had a very interesting thing happen today. This wonderful businesswoman here in town has a business, has a board, and she's trying to be kicked off her board and everything. And so she came for some business advice, and I talked about it. And there's one thing I want to talk to you about, and this is very positive, but the whole discussion is going to seem negative. All right? So let me start here. And then we're going to get to it. Remember, this gives you time to Q&A answers, get it to Christy, get it to Aaron, get it to Trinity. And so as I teach you a little business thing this way, is then I'm going to be able to share, and go through the questions of healthcare questions. But remember, I built massive businesses. I've been very successful. And so I want to give you guys some insight because this relates to real life. So if you look at what she's going through, I could just see the deep hurt in her. And it was really authentic. She was extremely hurt. And one of the first things I said to her, and she's like, how can people be so evil? Now I'm going to protect myself. I'm giving you a fair warning. This is going to sound very negative, but follow me on this. It's extremely positive. It'll make your life 1,000 times better, and you will dominate in life. You'll dominate in business, and it's a really good business thing. So here we go. So therefore, I looked at her, I said, that's your biggest problem. And she goes, what? She goes, I said, think about what you said. Why are these people so evil? And I'm like, do you understand? Everybody is. And I see some women are going, no, that's not true. Let me go back to you sweet ladies. If I were to, regardless of your age, and if your mom or dad's passed away, I apologize, but if I asked your mom and dad, and I said, let me ask you a question. Why are these people so evil? From the age of 1 year old till 4 or 5, would you agree with me that you have to correct your child's behavior more than celebrate all the good stuff? You understand? And they're like, yes, it's significant. Yeah, a Hunter, turn down a little bit. I can hear the echo like crazy. And so, yeah, guys, just say it. No one's going to care. As everybody's like talking, I'm like, no, Hunter's just trying to listen. Hunter's doing a great stuff back here. Hunter actually makes sure our sound is perfect and stuff like that, but you guys are hearing echo. So, okay, go back to my thing. I said, it's really funny. A 2-year-old is naturally selfish. You have to teach kids to do certain things. You have to prepare them and train them up for the world, because you know why? Because their evilness that they have, and yes, I'm sorry, you can see kids do really nasty things to kids. So therefore, you as parents must train them up to actually not be pieces of crap. And if you don't, if you do things like gentle parenting, or you do things like you think you can rationalize with a child, rationing like with a child is like saying a woman's not going to be emotional. I am surrounded by women, wife, kids, business women, and I expect them to be emotional. That's part of being a woman. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that. And so therefore, and I'm not comparing a woman to a child, I'm saying that, for example, there's emotions that with a child, they act childish because that what happened, they have not grown up. They are naturally pains in the ass. And if you don't do anything to correct and prepare them and train them up, they just become adult pain in the asses. But then when they get old enough to realize that that doesn't do well, they fight who they are on the inside instead of growing who they really are. Because a 14-year-old doesn't know how to grow themselves unless they have a dad like me. I mean that sincerely. Or a person that thinks like we do that way, which training comes up. And I said, so here's what happens. And I said, so when you met this person that's turning against you, guess what happened? Everybody lies when they first meet everybody. Everybody. Do you see it? I'll give you a really funny example. Justin, married to Corinne, great young couple. But guess what happens this? When you first met Corinne, did she have makeup on? Did she have her hair done? Was she nicely dressed? That's not the way she is when she wakes up. Do you understand? And so I said, women, you present a lie to us all the time. Okay? Now, I see all the women in here smiling because they know where I'm going with this. It's like, no. You understand? It's like, of course, you have to get yourself ready. Okay? That's even in life. And see, that's why people that train themselves, it doesn't mean you don't have disrupting evil thoughts. I want to slap people all day long. Do you understand? But I'm too pretty for prison, so I won't do that. You know? And I try to make some humor out of it, but it wasn't humorous for this woman that actually built an amazing business and trying to be thrown off by her board. When I said, you're approaching this wrong. People need to be grown and developed. There's no such thing as a natural born leader. Because everybody was a 2-year-old at one time. And guess what happens? Ask their mom. They weren't a natural born leader. It develops on their upbringing, their surroundings, things they've been through. And that's why I say this. Guess what happens? You need to do, in order to do great things, you need great people. Great people are not born, they're developed. And that's why so many people are disappointed, because they think just by hiring somebody, they're already great. Because they went to college, they got a degree. No, that's a skill. Skills can be learned. Greatness has to be trained. Ooh, quote me on that one. Oh, damn, that's good right there. Save that one. Skills. Oh, yes. Wait, how did I say? I just lost it. What did I say?
Skills can be learned.
Skills can be learned. Greatness has to be trained. Did I say trained? There we go. And see, I live it every day, so I don't care if I remember it, because I'm still going to have those actions. Train myself. And here's what happens. And you accomplish what you need to accomplish. All right. That being said, I got a short time. Oh, just guys, let you know, I'll be going live tonight. I'm going to work out, do some things. I got a meeting from 6:37. I don't know if I'm going to go I don't know if I'm going to go live talking about my fasting. Now I'm on day 2, going to be day 3 here soon. But I got to work out, do some things. Me and Trini are going to work out and stuff. And then I'm going to do this. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to be live on my Facebook. And I'm actually going to get adjusted by Dr. Bryce, but in a very different way. I have a deviated septum. I have the little railroad tracks here. I had a full body MRI, and I knew I had deviated septum. I'm going to show you how he's going to adjust that and shift that back. And then eventually I'm going to get a new MRI, and I'm going to show you guys my MRI and stuff of that. And I'm going to show you what he does, and it's freaky as hell. It's awesome. He's the only one that does it in my office because he specialized in it. I don't even know how to do it. I didn't learn my schooling. Anyways, so if you're on Facebook, I'm going to go live on Facebook after that, and we're going to do that. So, all right. That was a longer intro. Yes, let me have a little sip of my supper. What do we got?
Can you please explain the dangers of binge eating while pregnant? The last 2 days, I've been so bored and have binged hard, and I'm worried I've done damage. It's not bad foods, just a lot of food. Boredom is bad, and I need a hobby.
So here's what happens. I want you to be a little easier on yourself. Food is very emotional. And so therefore, when you're bored, we want to fulfill our time with something enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? Girls want food, guys want sex. All right? Just what happens. All right? And nice thing is this, is they both bring us great pleasure. All right? Some more than others. But here's the point. Be a little easier on yourself because you know why? You added good food into you. Okay? And the only thing you gotta think about is this way. So you're gonna go above your calorie intake that you really should. And when you consume too many calories, now that energy has to be stored. And you're just gonna get a little plumper on the hinder. You understand? And it'll just make it a little tougher later. And hopefully if you breastfeed, you might be able to get it all off that way. But if you binge eat, I don't think you're really hurting yourself. Now, once again, too much adipose tissue is not good. It's not. But I want you to be easier on yourself. And you're eating good food. You're gonna have a better chance of metabolizing it and ridding some of the stuff you need to get rid of that way. And just understand that it's food. You know what I'm saying? And you just consumed a little too much and you might gain a little weight. So if you did it for the last 2 days, I'm probably not gonna say that you hurt yourself. Now you do that for 6 months, okay, a little different. You're gonna gain a little too much weight, blood pressure problems, preeclampsia, stuff like that. But just look at it from a simple fact of the stuff that you do, okay?
Can a C2 subluxation that's compressing on the vagus nerve cause POTS symptoms?
Yes, it can. Okay, you actually already gave a thing. Remember, whenever you look at POTS, which is actually an autoimmune condition, which once again can negatively affect structural but also neurological that way, when you have a structural thing, it can mimic the symptoms because once again, it's very common to actually have some irritation, some let's say interference and some trauma that leads to that whole inflammatory response and neurological response. So yeah, and there's great chiropractors. I'm a fan of all chiropractors. Great chiropractors get adjusted and make sure you do some Denerol, make sure you do a little bit of rehab on that neck that way, and you'll see some benefit.
Thoughts on micronized progesterone to help with perimenopause symptoms?
There's going to be some benefit because most people are lacking hormones, but that's the key. You lost some hormones and now they classify it as people are convinced now that perimenopause is a stage of life. It's not. There's no place in anything that's a normalcy where they use perimenopause. It's youth, it's cyclic years, and it's menopausal years. And so therefore, when you're in perimenopause, you just lost hormone. And that's the majority of the time that happens. You just get too low. So using even synthetic hormones, people do feel better just because they actually get something, and therefore there's some restoration. Now what I do is I would actually get your labs done, make sure that you have your blood work done and urine test together. Once again, if you're just looking for good, valuable hormone measurements, never use saliva unless you're doing cortisol. But cortisol you can even get from the urine quite well too. But long story short, and find out why they're being depleted and stuff. And the reason why you're in a state of perimenopause is because the person that guided you there actually just got you sick over time and stuff with their advice. Perimenopause is just you're low on hormones. Well, who's been taking care of you? All right?
Is autonomic dysfunction a true diagnosis or a cop-out from doctors who don't know what to test for?
Both. You know what I'm saying? It's an observation. And so therefore, just like MS is an observation, because there's really no criteria to do it. Fibromyalgia, yes, there's pain points, but it's still an observation. There's no really, if you have a broken, femur, you can see it on x-ray. You can't see fibromyalgia, you can't see MS, and people say, no, they did MRI and they saw plaque. That's still not that's still not a criteria. That's a contributing factor, but that you can have plaque in your brain and have no MS. And so therefore, it's a response that's going on. And so you got to do this. So there's some neurological stimulation like crazy, irritation, toxicity, things like that. And there's a problem. So they can give it a diagnosis. Diagnosis is just the end stage. That's all it is. Remember, the laws of cause and effect. Everything in medicine is effect. And if medicine tries to do any prevention, they give you things like vaccines, statin drugs. And we have more sick people, more heart disease ever on the planet. Okay.
Who shouldn't take Shasandra?
If you're allergic to it, I've never met anybody, but I guarantee there is somebody. Everything isn't good for everybody. And if there's even one thing, I guarantee there's people that cannot have the greatest organic beef, their greatest salmon, the greatest turkey, the greatest salad, the greatest vegetable. There's somebody that's going to respond negatively that way. So I tell people, now, would I agree that the vast majority of people would do well with a salad and a burger? As long as there's, no bun? Sure. You know what I'm saying? I think that a vast majority of people. But there are people that can react to anything. I am so about allergies due to the fact that you can even eat something for a significant time, and if you have immune problems and you have digestive problems, it can turn into an allergy and stuff. So I will never tell you everything is 100% safe for anybody.
What can I do for ringing in the ears?
Well, once again, one of the major causes, as long as you did not have head trauma, is actually fluid within the ears, and it's usually coming from a systemic infection. It's more common with bacterial, but there could be parasitic or viral infection that's creating a lot of fluid within the ears, and that leads to it. Make sure that you go to an ear, eyes, nose, and throat person that can actually look in to make sure that there's no degeneration, trauma, or actually crystallization of the bones, because then it can actually contribute to it that way. And then if all that seems to be good, then you have to look at your adrenals. You're going to have some adrenal insufficiency.
My granddaughter had a scan done and has a cyst on the pineal gland in the brain.
Yep.
Is there something she can take other than ibuprofen and Tylenol? She doesn't go back until March to rescan it and see if it's growing.
I don't know if you guys know this. Cysts on pineal gland are very common. You see them? That's why as you get older, you kind of sleep less. It really is, okay? Now, here's what happens. If there's some autoimmune reaction going, there's damage to the tissue, you got to figure out what that is, but there's usually some immune. Neurological system, unless there's some major toxicity, so if the child actually had some vaccines or things like that across the blood-brain barrier, caused some damage to the neurological tissue, that can happen. There could be an infection that happened that did that way. You got to dig a little bit to figure those things out. Now, here's what happens, is the key is with the pineal gland, the main aspect is the release of melatonin, and as long as she can do the things to keep her sleep good, I would actually be supporting the immune system and neurologically, especially like bacopa, cod liver oil, mucuna. That's going to help neurological development, also neurotransmitter changes. That will be the benefit for that.
Why does the cold make people's joints hurt? I know inflammation, but why is it the cold specifically?
Actually, it's not inflammation. Here, let me explain. Anytime the immune system responds, that's an inflammatory response. And if it initially happens, it's a good thing because it's trying to clear something that's foreign tissue. And the foreign tissue could be a damaged cell, it could be an infection, could be a toxin, could be a sliver. But here's what happens. The reason why the cold affects you is because the pressure becomes very low. And things are allowed to expand, okay? And stuff. So therefore, I just had a really dirty thought, but I'm gonna totally skip that one. I'm like, now, and what I mean by that is this, is when you look at things expanding, if you do have any damage to a joint, it actually largens, and therefore, guess what happens? You legitimately, once again, will hurt more. So it's more the low pressure. That's why you see this. It could be summertime here in Green Bay, high pressure, and all of a sudden a cold front or a rain comes in, and your grandpa says, oh, it's gonna rain, my joints hurt. Well, my joints don't hurt, what's the problem? See, because they had a joint issue first, and then that led to the pressure not adapting when it does happen. Okay?
What can I do to support bad circulation?
It depends where it's coming from. Is there high blood pressure? Is your blood too thick? Is there vesicular damage?
Bad circulation and varicose veins from pregnancies.
Oh, so you actually have bad vessels. Okay, number one, you have to always move. Get a vibe plate. You know, saying it's going to help with circulation. I'm a huge fan of vibe plates. You can buy them cheap, get them somewhere. I don't care. Obviously, there's better ones, absolutely, but just vibing and moving is great. Get a mini trampoline. But then you need to actually go back to watch my series on, statins and cholesterol, because I talk about repairing your vessels. You talk about some of the things that are key to that. There's wonderful herbs. There's actually, get cod liver oil, number one. Get Neo 40. Oh, I didn't take my Neo 40 yet today. Hunter, we forgot to take our Neo 40. Okay. And then what happens and then there are other herbs. Now I have a whole thing on varicose veins on my website and stuff. I just don't want to rattle off a bunch of products because I don't know exactly what you need. But the idea is this, but you do need, start by thinning the blood, which is always good, and actually reduce your sugar, get your inflammatory, get the thickness of your blood down.
Vertigo, ear pressure, anxiety, brain fog, and feeling off balance a month after flying. It's driving me batty. Please help.
Well, what you just did, you just changed the pressure. You're saying just by changing. So there are structural issues. In plane, do you ever notice that car and plane seats are not meant for your spine? It's horrible for you. And so therefore your neck was pushed forward. So there's some structures, get adjusted. And you're wrong. I have some concern about your adrenals, that you're going to be a little deficient. Start taking some ashwagandha. And then what I'd also do is I would actually get a Dutch test done. Did you take yours, Hunter? Yeah. All right, cool. Senior 40. Measure cross side. All right, what you got? Oh,
What-
crap. I got time for one more question. Then Christy's going to come up here, and then I'm going to go live on my Facebook and stuff like that.
Help. What can I take to stay asleep? I'm 73-year-old female. Also, should I take B vitamins?
B vitamins are absolutely fantastic for you in every single way. And if you take too much, you're just water soluble PMO. Here, if you want to sleep really well, take a bunch of marijuana. You know what I'm saying? That'll knock you out. You'll do great. Take a gummy. All right. Now, because if you just need to sleep. I'd rather see a person take a marijuana gummy than not sleep. Okay. But obviously, there are some other things you can do, like melatonin, yes. And this concept of taking melatonin is going to inhibit your melatonin production. You don't understand how much melatonin your body needs. It's psychotic. In cancer treatments, they use almost 200 milligrams of melatonin. But idea is this, you're not dealing with cancer, you're doing sleep. I would look at doing some California poppy, some valerian, some melatonin to start, and then dig why things are so excitatory in your system being that age. So here's what I'm going to do. You're going to come up. She's going to talk for a couple minutes. I'm going to then go live. Dr. Bryce is going to do my sinus and stuff like that. And just to let you guys know, he's going to stick a balloon up my nose and he's going to do it. And it's going to, yes. So I'm going to go live. So Chris is going to go live for a couple minutes. And then I'm going to go live and get adjusted on myself. And I'll be back later tonight to talk about fasting. Like I said, by that time, I'll be 2 days complete on day 3. So here we go.
Have fun.
Yes.
Fun, fun, fun. Hello, everyone. I am Christy Flynn. I'm Dr. Flynn's wife. I am first ever patient of the Wellness Way. Okay, so how many of you have been following the sourdough adventures? So I started doing that. My whole goal of this whole sourdough thing, I have a gluten allergy. So do I think everybody in our household has. We don't have any gluten in the household. And most of the gluten-free treats and breads and different things out there have rice in them, and we have a couple rice allergies, and that's usually something that will pop up on your list here and there. So I wanted to create something that was without rice, and so I had found out that, guess what, you can do sorghum sourdough. And so I started my adventures of my sourdough, my gluten-free sorghum sourdough that's made from sorghum. And I made breads. My whole goal was cinnamon rolls at Christmas. And that's from there. A bunch of people wanted to know, like, hey, how'd you do it? I want to be able to do it too. So if you haven't already, if you're interested in doing the same, I am taking people step by step through the process of creating your very own sourdough starter. You definitely need to make sure that you have a couple weeks to be able to stay on the certain feeding patterns until you get it nice and alive and bubbling and vibrant, and then you can do a once a week feeding, put it in the fridge, that kind of a thing, depending on how often you want to bake with it. But if you haven't yet followed me on Instagram, christy.m.flynn on Instagram, and then also on Facebook, Christy Flynn. But we also have a Facebook group, Everything GF Sourdough. And in there, we've been posting videos after the fact, so you can kind of just follow along with the progress of the different days. And I give different tips each day because there's a morning feeding and an evening feeding. And I give you kind of an idea of what it should look like, what it shouldn't look like, what it should smell like how the smells change, all that kind of a thing, so that you too can be able to create your own sourdough starter. And Gladys right now is doing very well. She's starting to smell quite yeasty, bready, that good smell. And the other one, Bucky, it's my buckwheat. It's an experiment for me. And I said, I've never done it, so I don't know if it's going to work. And it's slow going, not sure. But I have created another one, which everybody will find out tonight at 7:30 p.m. I am doing a experiment. It's called Morpheus. I created Morpheus. Morpheus is kind of a morphing of two things. I started with the sorghum. I'm adding buckwheat, so it's like a sorghum buckwheat mix. I think that buckwheat works a little differently. It is a grass. It is not a typical grain, so therefore it works a little differently. So I'm kind of experimenting to see if I can get it up and going. So that being said, 7:30 a.m., 7:30 p.m., come follow me, Christy.m.Flynn on Instagram or Christy Flynn on Facebook. But I will see you then. What was going on?
What does that mean?
TikTok restricted us in